phone, you're good.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Brunch with Brian. We're back on our favorite location. I always like to be out by the waterfall in the morning and with the birds chirping and the sun shining. Hopefully it's not too miserable where you're at, but I grew up in Minnesota, so I put in my time. A lot of stuff to cover today on Brunch with Brian. Really important material. I'm talking about yesterday on Teaching Tuesday, which I sure hope you were part of. We went over exit strategies. So I'm going to do a recap. I'm going to do what I call an exit strategy crash course and actually go over basically there's about 5 different categories. Ugly house, no terms, ugly house terms, pretty house, no terms, pretty house terms. And there's this one where you get ugly house, real short terms. So that's kind of the breakdown of all the deals that you'll ever do. It's not that much more difficult than that. So I'm going to go over that in a sec. And I love covering that, but it happens to be today is National I Want You to Be Happy Day. So you guys know how you know how I want you to be happy, right? So yay, be happy. So guys, this is kind of the foundation and the mission statement of Brunch with Brian. I want you guys to be happy. Obviously, you need money to be happy. You gotta, so I want you to help. I want to help you make money. And the best way I know how to make money is real estate. And the most lucrative real estate deals we found, and I don't want you to cut any kind of deals out because you're going to come across all kinds of deals, but we do like the Pretty House Creative Financing deal. That type of deal we found to be very lucrative. And so I want to make you happy by helping you make some big fat paychecks, but also just be happy in life. And happiness isn't, I keep going back to that Benjamin Franklin saying that I love. Happiness is not brought about so much by great pieces of good fortune that rarely happen, seldom happen, but more by small advantages that occur every day. So one of your small advantages of your day, hopefully, is Brunch with Brian. And we're positive here and we're upbeat. We're smiling, yeah, and we're keeping you up to date, cutting edge on real estate and everything. So we're keeping you where you need to be and where you want to be. You want to be happy. So there's a really cool Chinese proverb. If you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone else. And so help someone else be happy. And so there is numerous studies have shown one key factor to finding and maintaining our own happiness is to do something to make others happy. In fact, one study revealed physiological effects when subjects donated to a charity. It's known as the helper's high, okay? With the brain releasing feelings of happiness and reward, dopamine, prompting people to do even more kind acts. So look at that. And we talk about paying it forward and all that. And when we talk about Ron LeGrand, we talk about paying it forward. He's the guru that got us started in this business. And now we've been teaching other people for over 17 years. And we love doing it, and we love keeping you guys smart about real estate. And you can always ask us questions. We know all the answers pretty much. In fact, though, I just did a call with one of our students yesterday in our mastermind group. And she was, I don't want to have negativity intrude or anything, but she was getting sued. But the positivity is that she won. And she won the case, and I gave her some good tips, and her, she went in there and they didn't have a leg to stand on. That's how good the paperwork is. So faith in the paperwork, get the paperwork filled out right. Anyways, I want you guys to be happy, so I want to help you in any way I can with knowledge and information and answers to questions. So many times we get testimonial letters of like, oh, if you just said this one thing on Teaching Tuesday or on Brunch with Brian that made all the difference, and it made that deal close for me, and look at what that did for your life. National I Want You to Be Happy Day timeline. Diana Ross had a single in 1970 called Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand. Make this world a better place. Okay, if you like Diana Ross. Remember there was a book out there that came out called Random Kindness and Senseless Acts of Beauty, but Random Acts of Kindness. And so most of us have heard that saying because we're countering random acts of violence, random acts of kindness. And so go out there and do something kind. So today is the day to make someone else happy with an act of kindness and paying it forward. So make sure you do it. In that movie, Pay It Forward, what year did that come out? Who knows that? That kid from The Sixth Sense was in it, and he was still little. So this was a ways back. What year did that come out? Pay It Forward. That's a pretty good movie, and it's about paying it forward and being kind to others. And so there's lots of, and you know, there's another little project that I think is kind of fun because we kind of do this Kindness Rocks project. If you can get a little paint and paint a positive saying, "You got this," on a rock and leave it somewhere for someone to find. That's nice. Okay, so guys, we want you to be happy. Just a few suggestions on things you can do today. Sow seeds of happiness, okay? You know what? This is your day to print up some of your smiley faces. I have nice printer paper, you know, and it's really nice to have some of these around to remind you. Give someone kudos at work. Fill a need. Reach out, give thanks, send a small gift, encourage somebody, let someone else go first. You know what people do at Starbucks, don't you? They pay for the order behind them sometimes. Isn't that cool? And so that's kind of neat. And I just want you guys to be happy. Now, the exit strategy crash course is really going to be a crash course here. Okay, so ugly house, no terms, right? If you get an ugly house, no terms. Number one exit strategy, you're going to wholesale it to a wholesale buyer. In the system, we call him a wholesale buyer. That's Jerome, the nerd buyer, who's the wholesale buyer, all about numbers. Remember, that's the person who's going to rehab it. The other strategy is rehab it yourself and then retail it. So fix up the house yourself, do the repairs yourself, and then sell to a cash out buyer. So that's two kind of buyers, a wholesale buyer or a rehabber, or a cash out buyer who's going to buy a perfectly pretty house that you're trying to sell for cash after you fixed it up. Ugly house where you do get terms, let's say you get two years or more is usually what we like to get, but we like to get really as long as we can get, of course. Exit strategy number one, you put a work for equity tenant in there, tenant buyer. We call them buyers just because it's shorter and easier, but they're a tenant buyer because they're leasing while they're actually getting qualified. So they're a tenant buyer. There's three kinds of tenant buyers. I'm going to go over here very quickly. So your number one exit strategy on an ugly house where they do give you terms is a work for equity buyer that does all the repairs at their own expense. That's important. Number two exit strategy is you do the repairs yourself. Okay, and this is even with terms. You fix the house up and then you put a lease purchase tenant buyer in there. All right, the reason I don't want you to just fix up an ugly house and sell it for cash when they say they'll give you terms is it's just a waste of the terms. And anytime you can get terms, guys, you can offer it to other people and get more money than just selling for cash. Now, exit strategy number three, and this might work in some instances. You might do what we call an assigning contract deal, an axe deal, sometimes we call it. And that is basically you're just getting a contract on this house. They're willing to give you terms. You're getting a long-term lease purchase on the property because you're uncertain about maybe the value, basically. And then you just are connecting your buyer and seller and you're going out. We don't really like the axe deal that much. Don't use it that much. Usually I'm going to default to a sandwich lease purchase in that scenario. Okay, now ugly house, if you get a short term, remember, first you're going to always ask, you know, could you give us monthly payments? And then, you know, you're going to try to get the longest term. Some of our sellers give us 30 years. They love that monthly payment. That's on a free and clear house. Normally you're just going for, well, how long is the mortgage? You know, you're trying to get payments till the end of the mortgage. However, you will do sometimes, if it's free and clear, you can go for 30 years. So as long as possible is what you want to get. Now, they say, no, I can't give you terms. And then you say, you know, you back it down. Well, 10 years, 5 years, no, 3 years, not even 2 years. No. Okay. Well, how about just like 6 months? And if they'll give you 6 months, that's enough time for you to actually buy the property, let someone else do the repairs. This is a little bit more involved deal, but we call it, you're getting transitional seller financing. See, it's not long-term seller financing. It's not even 2 years. It's basically just transitional while you get the house fixed up. So this may only be a 3 to 6 month period that they give you to pay them off in full. Now, during that time, you've got to get that house done and you've got to sell it for cash because that's how you're going to cash out your seller. So obviously the rehab has to go right. And if you only get 3 months, that rehab better go very right, and you better be organized and get it done and get it sold. Because you not only got to get it done, you got to get the rehab done, you got to get the property sold, and you got to get it closed with a cash out buyer, which they have to do appraisals, inspections, and all the other rigmaroles. So that's it. That's why I don't. 6 months is way better than 3 months. But if someone won't give you a longer term, don't forget that deal. Get transitional seller financing on an ugly house just to do the repairs. Okay, now let's get into the pretty house. If a pretty house seller will not give you terms, you really only have one option, and that's an option deal. In our system, it's when Ron is talking to Vic and Carol Diamati, and that's in his backyard. We do that deal meeting. Most of you guys have seen that deal meeting where we're sitting in the backyard, in Ron's backyard, and he's talking to us and we're working everything out. Now, it's an option deal. We're going to give them, 3 to 6 months. Now, in this one, I want you to get 90 days. You're going to sign a purchase and sale agreement, get 90 days. And with that 90 days, you're going to actually be able to get a cash out buyer. So you're looking for a cash out buyer in this scenario, but you have the property for a certain period of time with a live purchase and sale agreement with 90 days to close. All right. So basically, you're going to do one big push, try to sell the house very quick for more than what you're paying. That's the only real thing you can do on a no terms pretty house deal. On a pretty house terms deal, you're either going to sell to a lease purchase buyer who's going to give you a big non-refundable option deposit, and they're going to move in and take many years to qualify, hopefully, and you're going to make lots of positive cash flow during all that time. Sometimes, they get qualified faster and pay you off faster, and that's too bad, but then you make your big back end payday right away. All right, so that's a pretty house seller to that's when the house is beautiful. Then sometimes if the house is over leveraged or over mortgaged, you might want to look again at that assigning contract deal, an AX deal. But again, I tend to like the sandwich lease purchase. Now, the last exit strategy, if a cash out buyer walks in and just gives, this is the old Godfather line, they make you an offer you can't refuse. You made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So that's what I want you to, if someone walks in, and we've had this happen, where an agent sees your house and you're holding an open house or something like that, and they see the property, and even though you're offering it with, bad credit, okay, no bank qualifying, their person is ready to buy it for cash, and they come in and say, I see you're asking this, we'll pay that. And now if you want to sacrifice your terms, which normally we don't like to do, you may just sell to a cash out buyer. So that's your third exit strategy. So that's the crash course in exit strategy and the crash course in making someone else happy. So make someone else happy today. Another good idea is write a letter. Nobody writes letters anymore. And this is something that I try to do, but actually writing a physical letter and mailing it to someone, what a concept. All right, so that's kind of a way to, for sure. Now you wouldn't make them happy today, but when they get that letter, they'll be super happy. So guys, have a great day today. Be extra happy. Get those exit strategies applied in the real world so that you start making some really good money in real estate investing. So today's Wednesday. Tomorrow we're going to be back with Thursday's live with the Wolffs. And don't forget, on March 12th, we have that incredible one-day Taking Action virtual workshop that you can be a part of. And we're going to be going over paperwork and really important things this time. So definitely be there for that. Guys, awesome Brunch with Brian. 2 big topics today. A lot of important information. You might even have to play it over. And that's okay. Play it over to take good notes. Until I see you guys next time, keep expecting success, getting awesome training, and of course, taking lots of action. See you tomorrow.